the Radio Forest Podcast.
Hey, Forest, Pat McGann calling. How are you?
Pat, doing really good, man. Welcome. How are you? How have you been?
Good. Doing well, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I think I talked to you a couple of years ago. Let me see if I got this right, because I think it was around COVID time. Didn't you do a couple of shows where you just like walk out into the living room and do a set for your kids?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I used to do these pop-up shows where I would just interrupt their life, turn the TV off.
Yes. Yeah, I was trying to find those. I can't find those online anywhere. I love those.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. I think I have some like buried in my Instagram feed.
Yeah, so like it was during COVID, so you can't really tour. So you're doing your stand-up set. You'd walk out and just start doing your set in front of your kids, and they're like just kind of like lounging around watching TV, and they're like staring at you and not getting the jokes. I wish there would have been like a whole special like that with like no crowd participation.
I have a hard time revisiting some of that stuff because it's such a triggering PTSD thing. But
yeah,
no, I had a lot of fun doing that. Stuff, and I do still hear people talk about that. So it's very cool when people bring it up.
Yeah, it was super unique at the time, and the humor of the kids not getting it and also not caring. Plus, you're their dad, so they're like low key annoyed. I just found that hilarious.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Hey, so you got a big show coming up July 5th, Ocean Casino Resort. That's before this tour kicks off. It Ain't Right with Sebastian Maniscalco. I'm not familiar with Ovation Hall. Is that a pretty big venue?
Yeah, it's a nice size venue at the Ocean Resort in Atlantic City. I believe it's about 1,500 to 1,800 seats. And that's kind of wrapping up this tour I've been doing on my own before I connect with Sebastian for the arena tour, which is going to be taking up most of the balance of the year. So should be a lot of fun.
I've heard other comedians talk about the difference in doing arenas, like it's, different timing and pause and waiting till the joke hits the back. Was it a big shift? Because you've also done like live TV plus shows in front of your kids. So was it that big of a switch really to step into an arena with Sebastian? Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely different. You nailed it when you're talking about just waiting for the crowd, like that response time's a little bit different. So different like timing. And the biggest thing for me is always like adjusting to being in the round. You're kind of walking in a circle and playing to the corners, which is where like the cameras are. Because you do need, I think, to hit the screens. And a lot of people are watching the screens, especially up top. So it's a good way to kind of see it, and it helps you stay connected to these larger audiences,
Do you feel like it's easy to be the opening comedian? I'm just speaking from my own experience of watching live shows. Sometimes I care so little about the opening band. I'm like, I just wish they weren't here. I want the headliner. But when I go to a comedy show, I'm interested because that means like, hey, the headliner's up next. Is that the same experience on stage, or do you think it's a little bit of both? People are like, I don't want to see you. I want Sebastian.
Yeah, definitely. I think there is a little bit of that, right? People think that, this is still the time to grab a drink or run to the bathroom. What's cool about Sebastian is like a lot of the theater shows that we've done and the bigger venues, they hold the show till the majority of the audience is seated. And they do that at the arenas too, So it really does become like a front to end show. There's no intermission. So you do want to get people, you want to get their attention right away. Sometimes, especially in the arenas, because it's such a big crowd, maybe the first 5 minutes might be a little bit of a struggle. But then they usually settle in. And it is a great time to like sneak up on people, help them kind of find you. Because as you're saying, like it's a time to kind of discover somebody that you haven't seen. And usually if there's a comedian and they have an opening act, they've been vetted and they're supported by that headliner. So you're kind of maybe thinking like, oh, here's somebody that Sebastian's kind of introducing to me. I can only hope for that and try and connect with people. And by and large, it's been a great experience. And I do love and enjoy his audiences because they're similar to mine. We have, we're both from Chicago. We're both around the same age. We're both going through similar things, but we're quite different too. So, but I'm able to connect with his audiences pretty well.
Being Chicago guys, you ever see any live music? I think of Chicago. I think of like Cheap Trick and the Smashing Pumpkins. You guys are playing these clubs. You're out live. Surely eventually you're going to run into them. And they often say like rock stars actually want to be comedians. I'm sure they go to shows. So do you run into any rock bands in Chicago?
I'm trying to think, like not so much here in town. Like I've met some musicians, definitely. He's always getting celebrities out to his shows. I know a guy who's in Disturbed. He went to my high school.
Oh yeah, they're from Chicago.
A metal band. Yeah, and they're from here. And this guy Dan Donegan, I've become buddies with him, and I love when he comes out to a show. And I'm hoping to see him on the road sometime soon. I'm trying to think like other musicians wise, but it is interesting just to see the people that do come out to shows, because he's in a place where he's attracting a lot of big names, just that when we go to these markets that they come out, and even like big comics too. I've gotten to meet Brian Regan. Kevin Hart came out to a show. They're coming to see Sebastian. It's been nice to meet those guys as well.
Was Dan Donegan still ripped in high school? That guy's been like through his 30s and 40s, a pretty solidly ripped guy. And for being in a touring band that's been famous for that long, there's got to be a lot of like catering and alcohol. But he's always been like the most fit guy of the band. But I don't see him working out. So is he just genetically like that in high school too?
I don't know if it's his genetics or not. He's a little bit ahead of me in high school. So I didn't know him in high school, but we went.
Oh, you went to the same high school.
We've met since. Yeah, we've met since through like some alumni stuff.
Oh, I got it.
But I just saw him like 2 weeks ago, and yeah, he's looking good.
Yeah.
He's aging better than I am. Pretty soon it's going to seem like I graduated before he did.
Sebastian, he produced your 2020 special. So he's producing it. It's your special. Do you have any say on his jokes before your set? Or you're like, hey, buddy, this is mine. Can we cut that one thing?
No, I actually, when we did that, I didn't really realize he was going to go out and do material. So it was such a flip, right? It's like, how the heck did this happen? He's opening for me. It really was more taped that way. I had a different opener that night. It was cool that he was willing to introduce me and not just put his name on it, but go out there and do a little material and bring me out. Kind of intimidating following a huge name like that, right?
Yeah, so when they taped that, you did just a normal show with an opener and everything. I always assumed you do like 2 or 3 sets of just you, same crowd, or maybe move the people in and out and then pick the best. But you had an opener and everything, right? Yeah,
and that was just, I think we just taped one show, or did we tape 2 shows? Maybe we did 2. But yeah, I just had, I think it was just one, to be honest, the one crack at it, did the 60, 70-minute set or whatever it was, and then we cut it down for the special. So I was lucky that the crowd was, hot that night and that we were able to capture what we captured. I want to say I appreciate that special so much because I've got 2 kids, both under 6. And so like it was like you were not preaching to me, but like speaking my language of all the things I try to not complain, but just be like, man, this parenting is so different than I anticipated. Like I never knew the most annoying and dumbest people I'd ever meet in my life were my own kids. And it's just like, it's tough, man, but you put it in a way that I really appreciate. So I enjoy a lot of that humor with the parenting and then, trying to wrestle that. I appreciate that. I think my newer stuff too, and I'm talking about it more because I thought it was going to be easy parenting. Yeah. I watched my parents. I was like, what do I have to do? Hide a key? I can hide a key. Like, I didn't know I was going to have to validate feelings because now kids have feelings, plural. I had like a feeling when I was a kid. I had a feeling I should keep my mouth shut and lurk in the shadows. I don't remember any of that stuff. Maybe I was just too young to remember it with my parents, but now my kids are in the age where they don't ever shut up. And it's like just a car ride. And I'm like, you guys got to stop. Like, I know you don't know anything. So I know you don't know, like, hey, who changes the light bulbs in the street light? I'm like, guys, I think the other day I was like, I've had 1 cup of coffee. You guys are like your 30th question. Yeah. I need like 3 minutes of, I didn't know that I would want so much alone time until they just don't stop. And people are like, well, they'll get older and not want to be around you. I'm like, I want that now. It's like one big press conference every day. Oh my God, you're right. That is what it is. And they're spitting facts. My son will just come at me with facts, like, do you know Mercury is shrinking? Like, do you really know what you're talking about? Or did you just memorize that sentence? Yeah. Because you can't tie your shoes. Yeah, I might be right before you in age-wise then because my kids aren't quite to the facts, but I can see that coming. Well, what's sad is at some point you have to sit them down and tell them, hey, facts don't matter. We used to think that they did. We used to think that the country was based on them. Not anymore.
My kid, well, I guess my boy will do. He'll be like, hey, Joey in school said that. And I'm like, Joey don't know shit. That's incorrect. He said Mercury's shrinking. Like, dude, he's lying to you. He doesn't know anything. He's 5. But in his mind, it's like, This is the smartest guy he knows. But I also learned that I am now 2 degrees of Kevin Bacon. You're 1 degree of Kevin Bacon.
Oh, yeah. When I did Letterman, he was a guest.
Do you get to chat with him at all? Or is that kind of like, because I know you didn't really get to spend time with Letterman. It's like, all right, here you go, stand here, walk out, say hello.
I said hi to him. I shook his hand, and that was about it. Because I remember the experience. That was the first time I did Letterman, and it was kind of like out-of-body experience. And he was downstairs. My dressing room was upstairs. His dressing room was below mine. And then there's like a green room holding right before you go on, and he was in there. That's where I met him. And, he was very nice, warm guy. Your head is spinning. It's like, there's Letterman, there's Kevin Bacon. What the hell am I doing here?
Was the experience with Colbert pretty much the same, or are those 2 completely different feelings and experiences? They
were in the same building, same theater, so similar, but a different experience. Like, Colbert definitely had put his own vibe in that theater. And then the experience was pretty cool because at that time, I got to do Letterman twice. And when I did Colbert, I just was more comfortable, more in the moment, like taking it in. And I remember Sean Astin was a guest, Rudy.
Yeah.
Mikey from Goonies. Lord of the Rings. And then Carol Burnett was there.
Oh, wow.
And that blew me away. Yeah, that really blew me away. I got to see Carol Burnett, and she was backstage with me. She was like the last person I saw before I went out. And she's such a legend. And all of that kind of relaxes you, too, because the people, the live audience is just having a great time and excited to be there. So I've always enjoyed doing late night, and I would love to get another spot out there, and I'm kind of looking to do one of those now.
Well, it's Pat McGann. It's PatMcGannComedy.com. His 2020 special is called When's Mom Gonne Be Home? And it's produced by Sebastian Maniscalco, who's going to go on tour. Coming up July, he's kicking off the It Ain't Right tour, and Pat is opening up, and you've got that show coming up July 5th, Ocean Casino Resort. Pat, it's good to talk to you again, man, and congratulations on the success. Yeah, dude, good luck on the tour, too.
Thanks, Forrest. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me, and when I get out that way, I hope to meet you in person.